Adding and subtracting polynomials. This is going to be very simple. It is simply combining like terms, which we've had to do this year already a little bit, especially when we were adding complex numbers. We were adding the real part and adding the imaginary part. That was the same concept, adding like terms. Okay? So what we're going to do, and this is all Algebra 1 stuff that you've had many times. In this case, we're going to subtract the like term. So I'm going to take 3x squared minus 2x squared. When you subtract them, you leave the x squared the same. So 3 minus 2 is 1x squared, and you don't write the 1. Then for the x's, I've got a 1 and a negative 7. So I'm going to take 1 minus negative 7. And I get positive 8x. Notice how I'm looking at it, taking my time, not in a big hurry. That's a chop-chop situation, 1 minus negative 7, and I get 8. And then for my constants, I have negative 8 minus 5, which is negative 13. Adding and subtracting polynomials. And these problems could be as large as we want them to be. Does not change the concept. Okay? Here's one with 4 terms. Sir?
If there was 2 like terms inside of the same parentheses, we get to add those together.
You would just combine those together, yeah. The parentheses really don't mean much, except when you're subtracting, the subtracting goes for all of them. So yeah, you could just combine them. So in this case, we would add the cubes. 8 plus 3 is 11x cubed. 7 plus 1, x squared, is 8x squared. For the x's, I've got negative 1 plus 5, which is positive 4x. And then I've got 17 plus 5, which is 22. Here, you try this one. Then we'll get to ones that are a little more, that could trip you up. We've got 4x squared plus 7x plus 3. Any questions on that one? All right, let's try again. See if you can come up with the correct answer there. Here's the problem. 2x squared plus nothing is 2x squared. If you took the 2 plus the negative 3, you weren't looking very carefully because they are not like terms. You were just blindly adding the first term to the first term. Okay? For the x's, we have 0x plus negative 3, which is negative 3x. And then for the constants, we have 5 plus negative 7, which is negative 2. Okay? That's the difference between understanding what's going on and just repeating the movements from the previous problem. Okay? Every problem is different, so you have to approach each one separately with the concept. Let's try one more of these before we move on to Big Orange 3. Answer: 4x squared minus 2x squared is 2x squared. Negative 7x minus 0 is negative 7x. And then for my constant, 0 minus negative 1 is positive 1. The common mistake there is that people will just drop the negative 1 down instead of chopping it down to the plus 1.